World assumed William for decades Hollywood made Shatner rich. Paychecks only. The truth is far away. More complex. At 94, Shatner departs behind a failed financial empire grow from acting, but weird transactions, unforeseen investments, and years hardship so extreme he slept in a camper. But how did a man Hollywood nearly forgot legacy build this valuable? What exactly will he do? Depart for his family. Shatner's Hollywood success. Shatner finances success narrative began in 1966 with A Good Role, not historic. But when he entered the Captain James T. Kirk uniform Star Trek's second pilot, Shatner's life transformed. Has supported USS Enterprise across 79, never expecting such episodes 3 seasons would become central to his finances. But initially, there was no need to anticipate it. His pay was moderate, $5.6000 per episode of the first season, rising thoroughly $10,000 by third. But his profits totaled projected $300,000 to $400,000 total series. Although commendable, nowhere close the money that resonate into old age. But there was a twist that defined his life financial philosophy. Shatner got no syndication residuals. When Star Trek reruns exploded during real money began in the 1970s flowing. Except the original cast saw payday. Profits for the studio decades. Shatner didn't. And that one financial wrong became the engine behind most money decision he made later. He realized he could never trust studios, contracts, or Hollywood executives ensure his future. He'd need to make his own money. But before he'd achieve that, he needed visibility. In the early 1980s, Shatner returned as lead on TV Indeed with policeman T.J. Hooker procedural that handed him fun stability he lost. His per-episode salary rose quickly, eventually landing between $50 and $75,000 that he appeared in over 90 episodes that reported earning $6 million enough to rebuild after years off fluctuating earnings. Then almost suddenly, he found another lane. Hosting. Rescue 911 began in 1989 that became a syndicating powerhouse quietly. Every week, viewers watched actual emergencies reenacted the narration with Shatner's, the U.S. TV culture. His pocketed an estimated $1.5 million 7 seasons. What mattered more? Doorways the show opened, signaling to everyone that Shatner wasn't confined to act anymore. A brand. He was a trusted presence and voice networks wanted. Years later, he played quirky attorney Denny Crane on Practice, and Boston spin-off Legal led him to another financial class. His pay increased that reports suggest substantially to $150,000, $300,000 per later season episode. Greater than 100 episodes earned Shatner in around $10 to $15 million. And therefore he realized most actors learn late. Income doesn't fade with fame. Need to. So when the world was viewing the roles, accolades, and he started making extravagant public appearances, building the financial foundation would expand into a vast empire greater than anticipated. His family knew his success, but the complete extent of his collection was not safeguarded, invested, and nurtured fully apparent. Shatner grasped unexpected Hollywood life could be. He'd seen successful actors, millions lose everything. He had watched careers collapse unexpectedly. That dread drove him to build fortune independent of popularity, studios or luck. His Hollywood success was expected. Earnings are just the beginning. Other businesses, one of Shatner's most steady income, other from acting comes from hosting. In the years after his acting peak, he started doing documentaries. In reality formats need someone with presence, warmth, and immediacy recognized voice. Strange shows nonfiction series like what gave him a reliable shapebox office unaffected revenue or network politics. Paid hosting work more importantly, it arrived. Regularly. But the real tipping point, the public still misremembers today from the world of advertising. Late 1990s Shatner she represented Price-a-Linney negotiator campaign, which combined charismatic, unexpected humor rejuvenated his pop cultural image. The advertisements were famous, but he received additional compensation. Impressive. Shatner declined. Customary flat rate. Instead, he agreed to receive portion of his pay in of firm shares or options. A choice eventually led to one of biggest celebrity advertising myths history. For years, tales swirled. He earned hundreds of millions. Price-a-Line shares cost dollars, turning make a small ad campaign near mythical payday. The legend grew until people believed he walked out a fortune so big it eclipsed whatever he did in film or television. Shatner publicly repeated the story, saying evidently never paid out windfall that large, never received the $600 million media jackpot loved repeating, never accumulated the equity everyone thought he had. The truth was simpler. His Priceline deal was profitable, and stock he got a decent return, but not the financial miracle world envisioned. Still, the campaign itself made him millions over time and strengthened his keenest financial sense. Join a brand early, negotiate creatively, and allow time boost value. But Priceline was just one ad portfolio. Shatner established himself. National tech commercials, insurance, consumer brands. Each his campaign adding another layer income. They were organized, well-paid partnerships accumulated slowly over decades. Audience focuses on performances instead of wages. Taken his commercial work produced several $1 million total compensation. An accumulating stream gradually, showing that consistency can occasionally excel spectacle. Another revenue stream from conventions and lived appearances. Star Trek conferences, sci-fi and Comic-Con events, regular global gatherings invited Shatner to headline, and fees indicated his status. Top-tier guests usually earn 5-figure to low 6 figures per appearance, and Shatner's alongside autographs and photos. Premium events made him one of best performers on the circuit. These occurrences accumulated up over decades to millions in earnings. And unlike film roles, overhead was low. He also launched his own tours, one-man shows, personal questions-response sessions, and storytelling nights where listeners listened to him describe his odd, winding life his own voice. The shows carried large margins, requiring minimal besides travel and production crew. Over years of touring, they silently created another multi-million-dollar pillar in finance. Shatner also made a lot of financial gain from publishing. He wrote numerous bestseller memoirs and nonfiction books negotiated with generous advances and royalty structures. Over decades, publication, his book sales reached 7 figures. Sponsored by sales and demand are robust. His intellectual property went outside also, turning memoirs into fiction. Most the Tech War universe, a series novels that become comics and later into TV movies and a brief series. While the franchise never became a juggernaut, created residuals, licensing fees, royalty drips from print and digital. And when he narrated his audiobooks, royalty share grew more. Interestingly, music joined in. His investments. Shatner's LPs, frequently spoken word mixes developed obscure but faithful music audiences. Despite minimal earnings, unlike movies or TV, digital sales, royalties, occasional performances added another regular long-term income. And in recent years, Shatner embraced digital ventures. His YouTube channel, including Shatner Vision, advertising revenue, and sponsorships, continued everlasting willingness to try new formats. His NFT trading cards limited edition published 2020 sold out fast, causing a temporary increase of income typical of celebrities' digitized droplets. Unbelievable, his likeness on action figures, poster, collectible, and commemorative Star Trek goods, providing constant royalties when fans bought his branded goods. Even his passions created ripples in finances. Shatner founded Hollywood Charity Horse Exhibition, annually charitable events supported sponsors, donors. And while it was absolutely charitable, improved visibility and prestige that inadvertently aided him broader brand. Yet the most stunning Shatner's wealth is how much that empire goes far beyond screen into assets, properties, and one of the most meticulously constructed personal portfolios in Hollywood. Shatner's automobiles and assets. While Shatner has established his wealth on round in brick, wood, steel, and land. He owns some of most surprising financial items empire, each showing how he cleverly planned long-term. Yet before anyone thought he'd live Loney's nines, his money rising, he has a residence in the middle. Acquired without an agent tip or studio cash, but while running. In the mid-1970s, Shatner saw a neglected home in LA while running in the neighborhood. Most people would have kept running, but didn't. It was his decision to buy. Dilapidated building has possibilities. Over time made it one of his most notable personal moments. This property is unusual. Why? Isn't price or location, but his subsequent actions. He didn't renovate it twice, but for rebuilding a symbol each time new chapter in his life. The oldest was plain, almost modest, since Shatner was still financial recovery following ups and downs after early Star Trek years. After his wages stabilized, as his chances increased, the home developed, walls fell, full portions were redesigned, the home reshaped to match the life he was creating inside. And when he married Elizabeth Martin, that designed new parts. She favored simplicity, clean lines, natural light. Although he preferred warmth and comfort, therefore they created a mixed-style residence. But not his only property. Investment. For decades, Shatner bought more property. Across California. However, he never showed off these investments some celebs do. His post was absent. Pictures or magazine tours. Instead, he saw property as a long-hold strategy, reliable, and nearly dull in the greatest way. Reports say he possessed many properties besides his home. Because he bought many in the counties before the market surged, value rose greatly with decades of adoration, rising neighborhood values, and continual celebrity-related demand areas. Analysts rank Shatner's gross real estate portfolio in eight-figure range, something that could assist several generations' family. But Shatner's assets go far beyond homes and land. One of the most his amazing financial corners life arises from his deep involvement show horse world. Shatner doesn't consider horses hobbies ornamental extras. He's taught, competed, invested, and built repute in equestrian circles has granted him top-tier facilities and ownership in numerous horses. The stakes are quite rare, but significant finance ecosystem. Yet his cars are premium things altogether distinct universe of collectibles, engines, and machinery almost better represent his personality and his previous roles. He was renowned for driving fancy automobiles his life. Public sightings recorded man driving brands like clean Mercedes-Benz and Bentley polished, a reminder of his pleasure performance and comfort. But that just one layer of his automotive history. Real twist came with motorcycles. Not only did Shatner collect, he helped design them. His cooperation with Rivet Motors American Wrench helped create custom Rivet 1 limited production, a motorcycle that looked like made for a man who had played spaceship captain. Bike wasn't simply a collector's item. It was part of project combining engineering and personality, art personality union mechanics. Small production run, niche but powerful appeal, value, like most limiting machines linked to celebrities, only grew with time. Over time, Shatner owned vintage vehicles. Some linked to his attendance at events, some related personal tastes, and others just held because they were lovely machinery from his favorite eras. Some were not documented openly, not all needed to be. Another key area of his collectibles asset profile, and in the offered Shatner a type of built-in mystery. One of the most well-known science fiction characters, he has Star Trek items memorabilia. Some personal, some professional, and some inherited cultural participation for decades. Items related to him are valuable in ordinary collectibles could. Autographed costumes, props, production materials, personal scripts, and all convention products have a premium when associated with him. And as nostalgia market continues to these objects only increase in value. More noticeable. There are also awards or physical reminders of career that exceeded 50 years. To most, these trophies are emotive, but historical collector's artifacts from one of the most famous entertainers, scripts, annotated pages, awards, Shatner-related productions all have genuine auction value, especially as time passes and they become rare increases. While the world has seen success, celebrity, roles, interviews, and appearances in untold Shatner story more complex. Most fans don't realize he's faced shadows, challenges, and private times that shaped the fortune maker. The shadows of prosperity. The success what we see today hides a chapter of William Shatner's life, showed no match for luck. One of the most significant issues arose when late Star Trek cancellation 1960s. Cast likely to move in opportunities, but the reverse happened. Shatner was typecast, knowing that most new roles disappeared when a producer viewed his face. Industries didn't know what related to him. Now Captain Kirk, label closed more doors than it opened. This became very difficult that he was forced into one of his lowest financial points adulthood. He has admitted to sleeping in a camper, not as a personal preference, but because it was necessary to everything he could afford. Traveling between jobs, he performed in regional theater, minor productions, and low-budget shows to maintain income. Previously, he lived on minimal wages and saved leftovers to maintain his children. He was not a television icon for years. He was a working father rebuilding from the failure of his previously prominent profession. The years of hardship laid the groundwork for his future empire. During his personal life, he faced obstacles in his marriages. His first marriage to Gloria Rand began in 1956, sometime before his global recognition. They established a life together while he was climbing, uncertain, and working whatever job available. However, his work changed, and so did his marriage. Due of industry uncertainty, protracted manufacturing timelines, and financial instability, both parties were under significant pressure. After 13 years, the marriage ended in 1969. They had 3 daughters, Leslie, Elizabeth, and Melanie. Even during challenging times, Shatner prioritized supporting his family, even when his income nearly collapsed following Star Trek. His second marriage was to Marcy Lafferty in 1973. Shatner's marriage spanned over 20 years, guiding him through a period of career revival and reinvention. Marcy remained supportive during the syndication and rebirth of Star Trek. The connection was complicated due to constantly changing job, Hollywood demands, and the imbalance caused by his growing celebrity. The marriage deteriorated to a gradual separation over time. The couple divorced in 1996 after almost 2 decades together. In 1997, his third marriage to Naren Kidd became one of the most difficult chapters in his personal life. Naren's alcoholism struggle caused significant emotional strain on her marriage and Shatner, who sought to help her rehabilitate. He shared his anguish and helplessness over those years, witnessing a loved one struggle with an illness that pushed her further away from control. Unfortunately, Naren passed away tragically in 1999, just 2 years after their marriage. Her death was unintentional and linked to her addiction struggle. Shatner carried a deep hurt that affected his eventual approach to relationships, privacy, and mourning. In 2001, he married Elizabeth Anderson Martin. Their nearly 20-year marriage marked a quieter, more stable chapter in his life. Elizabeth shared his passion for horses, design, and peaceful life. They helped form the latter incarnations of his long-owned Los Angeles home. Through collaboration and travel, they established a balance between his public work and personal life. A long-term partnership might reach its limit. After nearly 20 years, the marriage terminated in divorce in 2020. Their separation was not scandalous, since they acknowledged their divergent paths. Shatner remained dedicated to his daughters despite the trials of his marriages. Throughout their father's career, Leslie, Elizabeth, and Melanie witnessed his rebuilding, reinventing, and establishing the financial foundation that would shape the family's direction for decades. The emotional toll of each marriage, including highs and lows, losses and recoveries, defined the man who amassed the riches his family now inherits. Shatner's handling of later public storms was influenced by the personal weight of those years. In his later years, he nevertheless faced criticism, often with a dry humor that surprised some. While celebrities carefully controlled their public image in 2006, Shatner took a seemingly strange step. He sold a kidney stone he had passed. However, it was not a publicity stunt for shock value. He turned it into charity. The Golden Palace bought the stone for around $25,000. Shatner promptly donated the funds to Habitat for Humanity to build homes. Although unique, Shatner was able to convert even the most painful times into something useful. However, his relationship with his original Star Trek cast remained complex. Behind the scenes, the Enterprise crew was not the idyllic family fans expected. Long-standing tensions, founded in previous fights, professional slights, or personality clashes, persisted for decades. The most notable dispute included Shatner and George T. Their conflicts manifested in interviews, memoirs, and convention gossip, including concerns about disrespect, event invitations, and support levels. Some barbs were humorous, while others were not. Although Shatner dismissed problems as misunderstandings or exaggerated grievances, the tension persisted and became part of the cast's mystique after the series ended. During Leonard Nimoy's 2015 burial, people expected Shatner to attend, causing the most negative headlines. He insisted on attending a long-scheduled charity event across the country, as others had paid and traveled to attend. The revelation of his absence from the burial sparked outrage. Commentators portrayed it as disrespectful, and social media made it a spectacle. Shatner openly addressed the situation, stating his dedication to the charity and participation in Nimoy memorial ceremonies. But the judgment had already spread. Due to the preference for simplistic tales, the truth about commitments colliding in painful ways was lost in the hubbub. This incident highlights Shatner's belief that fame magnifies even the finest intentions. However, the controversy continued. Conventions were a significant element of his career, but they often caused tension. Being a prominent figure on the circuit resulted in increased fees, longer lines, and harsher demands. Fans have voiced concerns about accessibility, cost, and his behavior during events. However, his remarks were not unique since many legacy actors in the convention world endure comparable scrutiny. The cultural significance of Shatner's role made everything louder. He occasionally pushed back, clarifying policy or explaining behind-the-scenes demands of events. Occasionally, he accepted the cacophony as part of the environment of a huge series like Star Trek. Sadly, age proved to be another obstacle. As Shatner entered his 80s and 90s, the business viewed him with both cynicism and interest. People doubted his ability to continue performing. They questioned his stamina, voice, and relevancy. At every opportunity, Shatner responded directly. He worked. He assumed roles. He recorded albums. He wrote novels. With clarity and wit, he performed whole acts on stages. He actively pursued public speaking, interviews, and projects that would have been unthinkable for younger individuals. While others slowed down, he accelerated, refusing to be reduced to a symbolic figure due to his age. His determination to remain visible was further emphasized throughout his space voyage. At 90, he boarded a Blue Origin mission and became the oldest person to reach the edge of space. This moment was full of symbolism. In real life, Captain Kirk, the mythical spacefarer, crosses the threshold. For Shatner, the experience was not successful. The event was more intense and emotional than anticipated by the media. His post-flight remarks took many by surprise. He focused on the fragility of Earth, the harshness of space, and the melancholy he felt while looking into space, rather than praising the technology or success. In an interview with Variety, he stated that his voyage to space was intended as a celebration. Instead, it resembled a funeral. I experienced one of the deepest feelings of grief I have ever experienced. The stark contrast between the harshness of space and the comfort of Earth left me feeling deeply depressed. Daily, we witnessed the degradation of Earth and the extinction of animal species and flora and wildlife. Due to human intervention, things that evolved over 5 billion years will never be seen again. It made me feel dreadful. Some applauded his honesty, while others condemned him for misunderstanding space tourism and its environmental impact. Shatner is noted for incorporating personal experiences into philanthropy and speech. He discussed conservation, climate awareness, and protecting the Earth from a new perspective that he gained. Shatner maintained endurance and self-awareness throughout his life's toughest circumstances. Even when the spotlight was too bright, he continued to work and use it as a tool. He has amassed a huge wealth for his family due to this. This is totally surprising. What do you think about William Shatner's financial success? Leave your responses in the comments below. Remember to click on the next video, like it, and subscribe to our channel for more updates if you love this video.